I'm Christine Russo. Welcome to What Just Happened. Today we welcome Selvane du Menil. Selvane is Managing Director of IADS, International Association of Department Stores. Welcome. As you know, we've got a state of affairs here in our department stores, and it looks like you guys are just killing the game. So maybe there's something our listeners and department store adjacent individuals can learn from this discussion.
They do some history. The association was founded in 1928, so it's pretty old. It's, I think, the fifth retail association in the world. And actually, it was created by a handful of department store owners at the time, including the now defunct Salvane in Boston, who thought, okay, there are some things happening in the US, the theory of Fordism, Taylorism, theory of work, theory of flows and everything. And we should probably learn from that, especially to help us, family businesses, to grow into something a bit bigger. So they decided to team up and to create the IADS, which was during most of the 20th century, a research cell, let's say a think tank, but plus, let's say. So the IADS published books. We still have those books here, made conferences and made pure research on the department store model. So we have books on flows, on category management, on HR, on pretty much everything. At the turn of the century, or the 21st century, it became more a club of CEOs, and which probably worked for 15 to 20 years. But back in 2020, when I joined, I was asked to reinvent the association because basically my members were like, okay, we are ultra connected, so we don't really need a club. We need something more than that. We need a tool which is relevant and useful for us because we have many challenges. The goal was to reinvent the association, but actually, it was more coming back to the true DNA of it, which was to make sure that the association would act as a operational tool, making sure that every member was working together with the other ones and collaborating.
That's very interesting. You're saying you changed from a club to a tool. I think in current day modern retailing, when we think of tools, we think of tech, and we can get back to that. And about Filene's, that's who you were referring to, correct?
Yeah.
Very interesting. They were acquired by Federated, which owns Macy's here. But I love the backstory where a U.S. department store, very well respected department store, sort of put it out there. And well, in the end, it ended up, you're now just solely focused on globally, but not the U.S. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, the thing that we had US members in the past, we are probably going to have US members in the near future. It's a question of, okay, I'm a retail leader. I truly believe in international collaboration. All members need to vote and to agree on the fact of having new members into the association. In spite of the fact that department stores can have a very different business model, they all share a common point, which is 85% of their questions are the same across the planet, and across the board, and across segments, and across organizations. We are a not-for-profit organization fully funded by our members, and we are totally dedicated to the department store format. We have a threefold role. The first one is to make sure that all CEOs have a high-level conversation all together based on the fact that they want to have this conversation. So we are not, it's not a summit, it's not like, you bump into people. It's literally organize events where people are happy to be here and they want to talk and exchange about their current issues and challenges. We are here also to make sure that all organizations are working together. And the third role is to make sure that we address hairy and itchy challenges, even including by asking complicated questions, meaning that we are here to make sure that our member CEOs are aware of what's going on today, are aware of what's going on tomorrow, but also aware of what they need to think about to be able to know what will be going on in 20 years' time. We were very transparent and honest with our members, saying, look, we will never be the Boston Consulting Group or McKinsey or Bain, but what we are today is a team that know you, all of you, very well. We know where you're strong. We know where you need help. So why don't you ask us your questions? And we just make sure that we connect the dots. So questions can range from, hey, can you put me in touch with this or that brand, to, hey, having some questions about my organization, how I should structure my teams. Can you help me out? Yes, we can help you out on providing some minimized benchmark from other similar companies and use. Or it can be, hey, do you know this supplier, this tech, these systems? What do you know about them?
You mentioned you do have like a piece of what you do, which is, hey, I'm looking for
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. Can we chat a little bit about tech? What's the process for tech recommendation?
For tech recommendation, we're working with a partner called the Retail Hub. It's literally the Google of retail tech. So they have built a search engine which is referencing approximately 3,000 retail tech companies from startups to scale-ups. And basically you enter what you need and you get, for instance, you enter buy now, pay later, and you get 15 pages of results. Actually, we made a partnership with the Retail Hub. So our members have access to that tool, which is usually paying. And the other thing that we do is that actually we refine the briefing, meaning that instead of letting our members enter the search, we say, okay, what do you need? Always keeping in mind two imperatives, which are, we need to make sure that the information we provide to our members is simple to digest, easy and easy to implement and efficient, and also that they save time when they ask us. We're really here as a facilitator, as a solution provider, and we can help both at the strategic level, but also at the very operational level, which makes us very, very special in the panorama of retail associations.
What you're seeing on the horizon in terms of growth, challenges, and opportunities for department stores?
All department stores leaders in the world, all of them, 100% of them, are all questioning their model, what they should be doing in 20 years' time, but even tomorrow. What's the role of tech? What's the role of what do they stand for, and how they will achieve that? There are many challenges in terms of brand relationship, external factors such as the sustainability imperative, the digital transformation, which has a lot of implication in terms of capex that you need to invest, and transformation within your company. In terms of what do you do with AI today? Is it something that you should be using for your customer to ease the life of your customers? Is it something that you should be using to save a few productivity points? The most important is probably the purpose of a department store today and why they're here. Yeah. During the pandemic, everybody thought that actually physical retail was dead. Having a physical location needs to have a purpose. It needs to stand for something. And this is where it's an individual question for all of the department store companies in the world, which is, what do they want to say and what do they stand for? I'll just give you two examples. Every time that Harrods in London makes a public speech, the CEO every time says, Harrods is here to cater for the needs of the 0.01% of the world population, meaning the ultra rich. Every time that Galeries Lafayette is again making a public move or even an investment, the purpose is to make sure that they are perceived as a true fashion leader, able to detect and promote both French, international, but also local fashion as well. So the days when department stores could be seen as temple of everything for everybody are, in our opinion, dead, because there's one place where you can find everything for everybody. It's Amazon.
The internet.
Yeah.
They're putting their flag down and it's a strategy. And from there, they're going to maintain and grow their business.
95% of the companies that have met across the planet, 22 has exceeded 2019. So, okay, there's a recuperation effect. There's a YOLO kind of moment and everything, but 2019 was a record year for many retail companies. An example that I found always interesting, in 2022, the Galeries Lafayette Haussmann flagship store in Paris, so the one that everybody goes to, managed to reach between 95 and 98% of their turnover from 2019. The big difference is that in 2019, you had 30% of that figure composed of Chinese customers. In 2022, no, zero. And so it shows that it's been quite dynamic. Department stores suddenly realized that they still needed to cater for the local customers. It was not only about tourism, it was to make sure that you were able to say something to your local customers as well, which you might say contradicts with what I just said before, which is you need to have a clear standpoint. But actually, making a choice in terms of what you stand for and then making sure that this message is clearly given to all the potential customers, be them international or locals, is something which is very coherent. We still have merchants. We don't have buyers, we have merchants. And the word means something. We have implemented a partnership with another company called the Style Pulse, which is a platform which scouts new brands across the world. In department store, you have store, and department store usually are historical buildings in the city center. So what we think is that actually department stores are not going anywhere when it comes to physical stores. I mean, I can give you a very simple example. Sogo in Hong Kong, they're opening a second location in a new area of the city. Breuninger, they just purchased in Germany, just purchased an old competitor and are rebuilding their stores to make them more modern and very appetizing. But at the same time, they also invest online, of course, because two things happened during the pandemic, which were first, customers crave for convenience. It's cool and easy to get everything delivered at your door, that everything that you choose through a screen, and getting it delivered to the door. Now, how to make things better? Maybe you want to test and try the product and discover them in a physical manner, but you still want to have the possibility of the convenience. And the other aspect of the of the pandemic was the fact that brands also had to go e-commerce and discover that they could be really great and make a lot of profits by going DTC, direct to consumer. So the department stores at one given moment thought, okay, we need to go full speed in e-commerce. The issue is that when you go e-commerce full speed, then your competitor is not the guy across the road. He's not even the guy across the border. Your competitor becomes Google, Meta, Amazon, TikTok, and all the others. And then all of a sudden, it's a question of investment. And do you really have the means to compete with TikTok? Not really. Do you really have the means to compete with Amazon? Not really. So what do? You double down on the positioning and the differentiating aspect that you have defined, and then you just make sure that you create an ecosystem of tools, of channels, of ways of interacting with the customer that makes the most of having a physical location, but placed at the center of a digital ecosystem. So this is why at one given moment, we all thought that department stores would be going e-com full speed. Now e-com is obviously a big part of the business, but I'm going to use a very old-fashioned word from pre-pandemic, which is omnichannel. But that's the secret, and that's the secret weapon of a department store, which is omnichannel, is how to make sure that my store, my historical location, my central location in the city center is going to be a place of reference, but then enhanced and catalyzed by digital means.
Omnichannel is making a comeback as a word.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a new way to say it, but the bottom line is, okay, when your pendulum swings from primarily physical to primarily e-com during the lockdown, and then you come out after, where do the chips lie? Who wins? Well, bottom line is it's that middle blended area where you want to take lots of benefits from e-com and digital and bring it into physical, and some of the opposite going the other way as well.
It's all about trying to find a way to make your flagship like a hub, or whatever that means, like, physical or digital hub. But your flagship is somewhere at the center of your ecosystem, and then your ecosystem is made to make sure that you make the most of that hub. And you think in terms of, what do I do with my satellite stores? Do I need satellite stores? Do I need to use tech and digital penetration instead to make sure that my products are reaching my customers? Everybody is trying to find new ways of doing business, always trying to make the most of the product selection that is available in the hub of your omnichannel ecosystem, and at the same time using everything possible to bring convenience in the life for customers. I'll give you another omnichannel example. Boyner in Turkey, they have launched an app last September. They have 61 stores in Turkey. Turkey is quite a big country. And if you order anything from this app, any product is going to be delivered in less than 90 minutes everywhere in Turkey, wherever you are. Turkey is a big country. Some places are quite remote. The guy is going to wait for you to try the products. He takes back what you don't like. And what you like, you pay at that moment.
What you're describing in terms of like a department store physical flagship, these are built into the persona of many of these cities. If you think about it, Galerie Lafayette, Haussmann in Paris, it's very much a built into the fabric of being physically in a city. We would call that, actually, I'm calling that a hub and spoke strategy. Are you familiar with that? Like airports, the way it's a hub and spoke, right? Visually, that represents how
Yeah.
they're approaching it. And it's sort of course, it can change. We need to be fluid, but they're really saying, okay, at the heart of our operation is this flagship, this space. We are going to create experiences here. They might be digital experiences, but they're centered around this physical space that's in our DNA. And that really goes back to these city centers, these European and Asian cities that have physical architecture built around these. It's different here. It's not like that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's very different. By the way, the dark side of a strategy where you have an ecosystem with a hub at the center or whatever, you might not need so many second and third tier stores just like what you had in the past, especially if your products shipped from your flagship or wherever can reach your customer in the same manner than they used to when you had regional stores. I mean, to the same thing that I've been saying since the beginning, which is, why are you here? Who is your customer? What do you want to tell to your customer? And it's always the same. And it's probably something also which is somehow, I'm not commenting, but somehow missing a bit in the retail landscape in the US, but in many other countries, which is, okay, the department store company should be thinking of themselves as a concert hall where you have a lot of great singers coming in, like great brands, but you want to go to that concert hall for many different reasons. It's practical, or it's prestigious, or you know that you're going to be well treated and everything. And you need to elevate that name, that brand name, in such a way that goes in line with what you want to tell to your customers.
Well, fully subscribe to that. Practically, it's quite difficult because the concert is, you're absolutely right. So you have the shell where the operations need to be perfect. And then you have a flow and a fluidity to what's going on inside. Now, if you're contracting with brands, you can't be like, yeah, I'll take you for the month of November and then you got to go. But maybe you can.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, because maybe you should. Because why should someone just sit there stale and like be in that one location forever and not really generate new customer acquisition, curiosity, engagement? Because you go to a department store and the thing that you're relying on is the change in merchandise and seasonality of the merchandise, et cetera, which is fine. But if you really want to take a very big lens to this, you could actually switch it up, have one brand or 1 month or 6 months, 2 months, and build that out.
At the end, your customers are your audience and you need to treat them as such. If you don't have an audience, but just a bunch of customers, at some stage, Amazon is going to sell them in.
Really great conversation. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much, Christine.